Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of Biruni in India, chapter 66. Before going into the video, please like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. In Biruni in India, there are totally 80 chapters, and now we are going to see chapter 66. The title of the chapter is On Pilgrimage and the Visiting of Sacred Places. Pilgrimage means if you're going to a sacred place or if you're going to a temple, we say that that journey is said as pilgrimage. And here he says a pilgrimage is not compulsory for Hindus, but when they go for a pilgrimage, they feel happy and they feel meritorious. And when a man goes off to a holy region or to go and worship his venerated idol or to the holy rivers, he goes there, he worships them, and then he makes presents to the god, that is offerings to the god, and he recites many hymns and prayers, and he fasts there, and he also gives alms to the Brahmins, the priests, and others. And while returning home, he actually shaves the hair in his head and beard in that holy place, and then only returns home. And it also says that there are many holy, that is venerated ponds in the cold mountains around Meru. And about all these ponds, the information is given in Vayu and Matsya Puranas. And about these holy ponds from the Matsya and Vayu Puranas is, at the foot of Meru, there is the Arhata. It is a very great pond, and it will look like a moon, it will shine like a moon. And from that only river Zanba comes. It flows, and while it is flowing, it will look like pure gold. And near the mountain Sweta, there is a pond, Uttara Manasa. And around this Uttara Manasa, there are 12 ponds. And each pond will look like one lake. And from there comes two rivers, Sandi and Madhyata, and they flow to Kimpurasha. And near the mountain Nila, there is a pond, Pirad. In this pond, you can find lot of lotuses there. And near the mountain Nishada, there is a pond, Vishnupada. And from there only the river Saraswati, that is Sarsutu, comes there. And there is another river, Gandharva. And in the mountain Kailasha, there is a pond, Manda. And this pond is so large, it is like a sea. And from there only river Mandangini is coming. And northeast of Kailasha, there is a mountain, Chandra Parvata. And at its foot is the pond Acute, and from there only river Acute comes. And southeast of Kailasha, there is the mountain Lohita. At the foot of Mount Lohita is the pond called Lohita, and from there only the river Lohita Nandi comes up. And south of Kailasha, there is a mountain Sarayu Sati, and at the foot of Sarayu Sati is Manasa, and from there only river Sarayu comes. And west of Kailasha, there is a mountain Aruna, and this mountain is always covered with snow, so it's very difficult to ascend it, that is climb that mountain. And at the foot of this mountain is the pond Sailoda, and from there only we get the river Sailoda. And north of Kailasa, there is a mountain Gaura, and at the foot of Gaura is the pond C and D Sara. And this mountain has golden sand, and it is said that in this near this pond only King Bhagiratha led his anchoretic life, that is he worshipped God so that he could bring Ganga to the earth. And the story of Bhagiratha is like this. There was a king Sagara, he was a Hindu king, and he had 60,000 sons, and all these 60,000 sons were very, very bad. And once they lost a horse, and so they searched for it, and their search was so violent that the earth's surface itself broke. And then they saw the horse standing in the interior of the earth, and it was standing before a man who had eyes which were deep sunken, that is he was meditating. And when they came near him, he got angry because he was disturbed, and he looked at them, and his very look itself burnt them on the spot, and they were all sent to the hell because of their wicked actions. And this collapsed part of the earth became a sea, the great ocean. And a descendant of this king was called, one of the descendants was called as Bhagiratha. and he heard about all his ancestors being sent to hell, and he was much affected by it. And so what happened is he came to this pond, and seeing that the bottom was was like looking like polished gold, he stayed there, and he fasted all the day and worshipped all through the nights. Seeing the way he did his penance, worshipped him, Lord Mahadeva came and asked him what he wanted. And for that he said, I want the river Ganga to flow from paradise here. And it is already known that whoever is touched by river Ganga, all the sins will be pardoned. And so he wanted to relieve his ancestors from the sins which they have committed. Therefore he asked, and Mahadeva also immediately granted him. But the problem is, Ganga has its bed in the Milky Way. And Ganga was a very haughty river, and no one can stand against it. Therefore, in order to save the earth, Mahadeva took the Ganga and put it in his head. And now Ganga is not able to move, but it was so angry and made a great roar. But anyway, Mahadeva held it very firmly so that it was not able to move. At the same time, nobody was able to plunge into it. Then he took a part of the Ganga and made it to go to the place where Bhagirath wanted. And Bhagirath made the middle one of its 7 branches to flow over the bones of his ancestors, and all his ancestors were liberated from punishment. And therefore, now also we find Hindus throwing the burnt bones of their dead into the Ganga. And the Ganga also has another name, Bhagirath, because the Bhagirath is the name of the king who brought Ganga to the earth. And on the construction of the holy ponds, all these Hindu traditions, they quote about the holy rivers like Ganga. And in every place where some particular holiness is said, Hindus will construct a pond in order to maintain and carry on that holiness. And in constructing these ponds, they have attained very high degree of art. And so that our people, meaning the Muslims, when they see them, they wonder about these ponds, but they're not able to describe them. At the same time, they're not able to construct ponds like the Hindus. The Hindus, they build these ponds with great stones of enormous bulk, and these stones are joined to each other by sharp and strong cramp irons. And the ponds are in the form of steps or terraces, like so many ledges are formed, and these terraces will run all around the pond, reaching to the height of more than a man's stature. And on the surface of the stones between 2 terraces, they construct staircases rising like pinnacles. Thus, the first steps or terraces are like roads, and these roads will lead around the pond, and the pinnacles are steps leading up and down. And so, even if many people descend the pond, while many are even ascending the pond, that is, some are climbing the pond, some are climbing up, some are climbing down, these will they will not block the other person's way. At the same time, they will not be stopped also. And because there are so many terraces, the ascending persons can always turn to any terrace and give way to the people who are descending. And by this arrangement of the ponds, trouble will not be caused even if the crowd is more. And on single holy ponds, he says in Multan there is a pond in which the Hindus worship by bathing themselves if they are not prevented. That is, people stop them from bathing, but anyway Hindus feel that they have to go and bathe there. And the Samhita or Varahamitra, it all refers to the Tanishwar. There is a pond which Hindus visit, and they bathe also in its water, because there is a custom related to this. It is said that all the waters of the holy ponds visit this particular pond at the time of eclipse. And therefore, if a man washes in it at this time, it is as though he has washed in every single pond. One person cannot go to all the ponds. That is, they can, but it will take a long time. But by taking a bath in this pond at this time, he will get the benefits of taking bath in all the sacred ponds. And Varahamihira continues saying, people say that this particular thing happens when eclipse of the sun and the moon happens. And other times all the ponds will not visit this pond. And this pond is famous for its holiness, and because of the events that happened there, And because some holy texts will have mentioned about all this, and there's a tradition which refers to these ponds, and that is why people keep going to these sacred ponds. And it is also spoken by Saunaka. And Venus also has related them about the authority of Brahman to whom they were originally addressed. And in this text, King Bali is also mentioned, where he will continue doing things till Narayana plunges them to the lowest earth. And at that time, Narayana says that I am doing this to Bali only to show that equality between men, which he desires to release, shall be done away with, and men shall be different in their conditions of life, and that difference in the world is to be based. There will be difference between man and God, and further, people shall turn away from his worship and worship me and believe in me. And the mutual assistance of civilized people possesses a certain difference. And on the inequality of created beings and the origin of patriotism is a tradition from Saunaka. That is, there is certain consequences that one requires the other. And according to the same principle only, God has created this world with many differences in each place. In a single country itself, there are so many differences. In one place it will be cold, another place it will be warm. One will have good soil, water and air, while the other will have bitter salt, soil, dirty and bad smelling water, and also unhealthy air. And there are so many differences of this kind. And some cases it will be advantageous, while others will not have. But at the same time, it should be also noted that in certain places, periodically there will be physical disasters. And in the other places, such disasters will not be known at all. And all this is done only to make the civilized people to carefully select the places in which they want to build the towns. And the people also do all this because of the usage and custom. But the religious commands are more powerful than anything else, because usage and custom also are sometimes investigated, explored, and sometimes kept, sometimes abandoned. But these religious commands are not at all left. People do not question them, and they just trust them. They do not argue over it. And even if they are staying in a place where it is sterile, nothing will grow there also, they do not argue over it, because they are born in that place. And they love their country, they feel it is their fatherland, and they find it difficult also to leave the place, even if it is not going to offer them any fertility. They find it difficult to leave it. And now, besides physical differences, the countries also differ from each other in law and religion, and there is so much attachment for it from our heart that we live in them because we feel our roots are there and we cannot be outrooted from it. And on Benares as an asylum, there are certain places where for many reasons we connect our law and region, like Benares, that is Varanasi. And many anchorites will come there and they will stay there forever, like how the dwellers of the Kaaba stay forever in Mecca, because once they come to Benares they feel they have to be there till they die, and they want to live there and end their life because they feel after death they will be rewarded. And it is also said that if a murderer is held responsible for some crime, definitely he'll be punished because he has done a crime. But in case he enters the city of Benares, he will be pardoned. That is said to be such a holy city. And regardless of the causes of the holiness of Benares, the following story also comes there. That is, Brahman has 4 heads. Now, one time Brahma and Mahadeva had a quarrel, and in that quarrel, Mahadeva tore off one of Brahma's head, and as a sign of his victory, he always kept his head hanging from his hand. And there was a bridle tied in the mouth, and that was tied to his hand. And because of this Brahma's head hanging in Mahadeva's hand, it was said that it was a dishonor for Brahma. And Mahadeva went with the head wherever he went and whatever he did. And he never got separated from it. But once when he entered Benares, the head dropped from his hand and disappeared. And a similar place is Pukhara. And the story says that once Brahma was occupied in offering a fire, doing an offering, when a pig came out of the fire. Therefore, in that place, his image is represented as a pig. And outside the town there are three places, and the people have constructed ponds which stands for high veneration, and it is a place of worship. And they are holy ponds in Pakran, Tanishwar, Mahara, Kashmir and Multana. A place like Tanishwar is also called as Kurukshetra because it was the land of a person called Kuru. He was a peasant, a very pious and holy man, and he had divine power, and using that he worked miracles. Therefore, this place, Tanishwar, was called as Kurukshetra after him. And here it is said that in Tanishwar only Vasudeva had this wars of Bharata, and here he destroyed the evildoers. And it is for this reason where people come and visit this place. And Mahura also is a holy place because Vasudeva is said to be born and brought up there, and there is a place in the neighborhood called Nandagola. And nowadays the Hindus also visit Kashmir. And lastly, they used to visit Multan before its ideal temple was destroyed. Here ends chapter 66. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. It will be useful to others. Thank you.